Despite limited action, Wizards star Trae Young stole the show in Capital One Arena. We'll break it all down today on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is going on, DC family? I am your host, Abdullah Ayubi, host of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we're part of your family. Today we are breaking down Trae Young's Wizards debut against the Utah Jazz. That is not Ben Strober. That is our guy, Tyler Barberis. Barberis. I knew I was going to make a mistake. Today on today's show, we'll talk about Trae Young's impact, his debut, and how this Wizards offense will look moving forward. We'll talk about Juju Reese, a former Terp fans. I know you're happy about today. He went out there looking like prime Dennis Rodman on a random Thursday in 2026. And of course, lastly, we'll let it all out. Tyler, what do you think? Tonight I know you weren't in the arena like I was, but watching it from home, what did just the atmosphere look like from watching it on TV, Trae Young playing as a Wizard?
You know, Abdullah, first off, I want to thank you for allowing me to come on today's episode. And I was watching this game in the comfort of my own bed, on my laptop, on a Monumental Sports Network, threw it on in my bed. And you could just tell that the environment was different. The vibes were higher than what they've been in so long. It's a very, very encouraging feeling. As a lifelong Wizards fan, you are too. We haven't really seen the sort of enthusiasm and encouragement from, the Wizards team. And with all these young guys coming up, playing the way that they have throughout the year, improving, developing, Will Riley, Trey Johnson, Bilal Coulibaly, Keyshawn George, Alex Sarr, list goes on and on and on. You started to see some of those players feeding off of the energy as well. And I think right now, when the Wizards are one of the worst teams in the NBA, you have to take it how it is, and it's a good sight to see. And Trae Young definitely helped elevate the culture here that is starting to be set and laid down in Washington.
Yeah, tonight, Trae Young, as we expected, on a minute restriction, 19 minutes, scored 12 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals. And despite not having your big and Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George out for a couple of weeks, I think he made the best of his situation. And it was awesome seeing the environment, everyone yelling MVP for Trae when he's at the free throw line. It's just, this fan base, Tyler, has been so deprived of a star after everything that went with John Wall, down with John Wall, and then the whole Bradley Beal situation. Even Russell Westbrook for a year, we didn't have anyone that could genuinely showcase what DC basketball is about. And what Trae Young did tonight, it just gives you so much optimism for the future.
No doubt. And Abdullah, I think one of the most important aspects in having a star on your team is elevating the play of those around them. And that's what John Wall did during his decade-long tenure here in Washington. He elevated the players around him. Russell Westbrook, you can make an argument that he did, but Russell Westbrook, I don't want to go off topic, but he's always been, more of a not stat-reliant guy, but he doesn't necessarily generate winning. Trae Young, on the other hand, all he has done throughout his career is win. And he turned the Hawks into a winning team. He turned Oklahoma into a winning team during his time in college. And I know he only played 19 minutes tonight, but you could see those flashes being shown. And that's what Trae Young is. I mean, you have Kristaps Porzingis come through the building. You had Jordan Poole, but those aren't stars. Trae Young is a star. And you started to feel the vibe switching here. Everyone was kind of firing on all cylinders. They were clicking. Young was generating open looks for guys like Leaky Black, Bilal Coulibaly, Juju Reese, who we're going to talk about later. But Leaky Black had a career night, and it's no coincidence that it happened on the night that Trae Young made his Washington Wizards debut. It's small things like that, Abdullah, that really, really give me optimism going forward that Trae Young can be a leader of this Washington Wizards team.
And it's exciting because this is a sample size and limited action. Imagine, Tyler, next season when this team starts competing, they're going to go out there and try to win games. There's no dark cloud over you, making sure that you keep your top 8 protected pick. And I think the ability to just impact the game offensively, even defensively tonight. I know a lot of people worried about Trae Young and not being the most elite defender in the NBA, but tonight there was times out there we genuinely put effort, and it did look like that Utah Jazz were trying to hunt matchups going up against Trae Young, but that's what Wizards fans expected. We understand that he's not 6'5", he's 6'2" at most, and what he offers you offensively kind of overshadows those defensive inefficiencies. But also, when he's out there, hopefully with the healthy Wizard squad, he has Alex Sarr protecting the rim, Anthony Davis protecting the rim, Bilal Coulibaly, Keyshawn George on the wings. I can't. I'm so enthusiastic right now, Tyler, knowing that next season this squad is going to look a lot different. Because tonight, like you mentioned, he was playing against guys that I don't honestly know will get meaningful playing time next season, and it just goes to show that this guy is ready to go out there and play. The whole idea of him labeled as not a cancer, but just a guy that can't win, to me is just blasphemy.
Yeah, it's asinine. And like you said earlier, Trae Young, he's been a winner. I mean, he made the Eastern Conference Finals when he was, I think, 21 or 22 years old. And that isn't a coincidence. Trae Young is a winner, and his style of play impacts winning. Now, obviously, the defense can be a concern. And when his shots aren't falling, especially from outside the arc, that can be a concern because that's the type of player that he is, right? Very dependent on his ability to shoot, stretch the floor. But when his defense isn't necessarily elite, yeah, it can definitely be a downside to some teams. But what he noticed today, Abdullah, was he was holding up. He was holding his own. And obviously, a guy like Keontae George wasn't playing. Someone who puts a lot of pressure on the rim, is a three-level threat. But Isaiah Collier is a guy that does put a lot of pressure on the rim. And Trae Young did a good job in those matchups against these combo guards and Collier, Bryce Sensabaugh. You alluded earlier to Utah going up against certain players and hunting them defensive
matchups.
Yeah, you didn't really see that with Trae Young tonight. And I have to get used to saying that because he is a guy that you think is always going to get hunted on defense, but they were going at other guys. So it does give me a little bit more optimism. Like, all right, when you have Alex Sarr, when you have Anthony Davis, when you have Keyshawn George, you will have a way more of a solid foundation defensively that it can really hide all of Trae Young's flaws on the defensive end of the floor. But what he can do and contribute to offensively, that was on full display tonight. And the greatest thing is, too, Abdullah, is he was having fun. I remember, like the 8-minute mark in the first quarter, he made a fake pass with his left hand and hit a no-look pass to Bilal Coulibaly in the corner. And Bilal splashed in the three from the corner that was, like, contested. And I was like, I've never seen a point guard make that pass in a little bit under a decade since John Wall was doing it. And the fact that Bilal had the confidence to shoot that, Trae Young has instilled that in him, those are all signs that point to positive correlation going forward. And that's all that I want to see right now. It kind of does seem like the rebuild phase is over. They're constructing their championship level roster, quote unquote. Still a lot of pieces that still have to, be added to this team to compete for a championship. But now you're in the phase where you're seeing what you have with the core. And I think tonight you saw how Trae Young elevated those around him, Leaky Black, Juju Reese. But it's like, how much better will this team look when they have Keyshawn, when they have Anthony Davis, when they have Alex Sarr? And that's the scariest part, Abdullah, is that like they looked fun tonight and they were fun tonight. But what about next year when they're actually trying to win games and all their guys are healthy? They add that hopeful top 8 draft pick. They maybe make a free agent move here or there. This Wizards team can be really, really fun. And that was foreshadowed tonight. And we're going to see that in the future.
I mean, rim pressure, Tyler. Trae Young offers that to a whole different level. And he had 6 assists in limited action, but man, he could have had 10. There were some guys dropping passes. And that's hopefully something that these young guys will understand playing alongside Trae, is that he will find you, whether it's in transition or the half-court set. And it just goes back to those days where you saw John Wall playing here. And that first basket that he made with his left hand over Filipowski, it was so loud, Tyler. It was probably the loudest it's been throughout this whole season. And it's just...
I got FOMO.
Yeah, I know you're out there in Tennessee. It just goes to show that this organization did their due diligence. They traded for the guy, didn't rush him back into play. Now that you're playing him, obviously it was kind of funny that they played him on a night where they play the Utah Jazz, and although they lost, it was still a competitive game. And again, these games could come back and not essentially bite you, but you can look back and say maybe it was a good thing that we lost, because the Tankathon standings, Tyler, you've probably seen it. I mean, the top 8 teams combined, I think, at least before the game, were 40 losses in a row. I mean, that's insane. When have we seen that?
That's unbelievable. It's. I think it goes to show how dominant this draft class is this year, Abdullah, because in the 2024 draft, like no one's tanking out. And that's what Washington did. And they honestly got lucky by getting arguably the best player in that draft class in Alex Sarr. But it's like this year's draft class, you'll be happy if you have the 14th best odds at the number 1 pick and you move up to 10 because you're still getting a premier player. And we were talking about this right before we went live, Abdullah. Is like Nate Ahmet, Darius Acuff, LeBaron Philon. It's like those are all players that would arguably be top 3 picks in the 2024 NBA draft. And now they're in like the late lottery. That just shows. And those 40 consecutive losses prior to tonight by all the, bottom 5 or bottom 10 teams goes to show how good this draft class is and how good this Wizards team can be if they were to add one of those players. Now, obviously, you have the dream of Darren Peterson, AJ Dybonsta, or Cam Boozer, but it's like, you're okay if you fall outside the top 3 because you have your foundation now. You understand what your identity is going to be, and all the building blocks are right in place for you to be a playoff team next year, especially with how the East is kind of looking and shaping up this year. Washington has a real opportunity here to have a great free agency, to have a great off season, to get another year out of the player development side with guys like Will Riley, Jameer Watkins, Trae Johnson, Alex Sarr, some of Bilal Coulibaly, some of the more offensively raw guys. If you can get more production out of those guys, and Trae Johnson and Will Riley, they're not offensively raw, but they're going to continue to get better. And that alone is like adding a superstar in free agency because those 5 players combined, they have equivalent value in my opinion. So the timeline right now looks great. You get one of those picks. The fans are buzzing again. Obviously, I wasn't there, but I trust in what you're saying. It was a fun night. I heard the defense chants with 3 minutes left from my computer. I was like, man, I haven't heard this stuff in so long. As a lifelong Wizards fan, man, that's really all you want to see and hear. And it's a great time to be a Wizards fan. Even though they're losing, you got to be optimistic with what they're building right now.
You just have to understand the assignment, for sure.
Exactly.
Well said, Tyler. When we come back, Julian Reese, 18-20. Oh, my goodness. We'll be back. Today's episode of Locked On Wizards is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready, and I've got my number 1 pick for my 5 Hour Energy flavor draft. My number 1 pick, guys, drum roll please, Cotton Candy. The nostalgic carnival-style taste is just amazing and something that I've been craving for so long. And I also want to mention just how there's other alternative flavors like a Confetti Craze sweet birthday cake inspired flavor. My birthday was not too long ago, and it just brought me back memories when I had that. All different types of flavors. Got to try it out. Once you try them out, you'll get attached to them. Find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Today's episode of Locked On Wizards is also brought to you by Gametime. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part hasn't been so simple. That's why Gametime has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs with the fans. For example, tonight, when you found out that Trae Young was going to make his Wizards debut a couple of days ago, got to use the Gametime app. Pull up the Gametime app, picked an upcoming NBA game, and had tickets locked in within minutes. Love seeing the all-in price up front, no surprise fees at checkout. Zone deals stood out. Choose a section. Gametime picks the seats, and you save. Everything feels great, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKED for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. What's up, back? Welcome back to Locked On Wizards. I'm here with Tyler, host of the Let's Talk About It podcast. Ben is right now covering post-game. He's definitely asking Trae Young a lot of questions. Tyler, we're both from the DMV. Juju Reese, a guy who got signed less than a couple of days ago. I don't think he even had a Wizards full practice area, maybe just one. And tonight,
I don't think he did
points.
because there was a back-to-back too, I'm pretty sure. So I don't think he had one practice. I think his first practice was yesterday, which is crazy to think about.
I mean, how insane is that, Tyler? Against a team, the Utah Jazz, that has a Kyle Filipowski, a Mo Bamba. How impressive were you from Juju tonight?
Yeah, well, first off, before I interrupted you, 18 points, 20 rebounds. I mean, set a Wizards rookie franchise record, I believe. That's the stuff that you want to see out of a guy that should be as hungry as Julian Reese. I mean, big Maryland Terps fan here. So are you, Abdullah. That is what his bread and butter was when he was playing in the red and gold. I mean, that guy was relentless on the glass, had a harder time finishing, especially on the right side, but he was an absolute rim wrecker. He would not be scared to throw some elbows down there, get physical, get aggressive. You see his sister, Angel Reese, using it too. I mean, it just runs in the Reese blood, it seems like. But I was so impressed because Drew Gooden said it on air. That's how you're going to feed your family. That's how you're going to put food on the table. You got to rebound. You got to be strong with the ball. And Brian Keefe even said it too a couple days ago. It's like you have faith in Juju in the offense too. As a playmaker, as a passer, when he has nothing open, he goes to the DHO. I mean, he's a high IQ basketball player. Now, he's obviously not a big offensive threat, but you're okay with that because right now it seems like he's kind of just bridging the gap until you get Sarr back, until you get Vukovic back. But it's like it's going to be really hard to turn your back on a guy that just had 18 points and 20 rebounds. And the one thing too, Abdullah, that we were talking about right before we went live, he was making his free throws too. 8 for 8 from the free throw line at Maryland. Julian Reese was not a good free throw shooter by any means. Lost us games because of his poor free throw shooting. But going 8 for 8 from the field, he went 5 for 7, played 38 minutes. That is efficient and effective basketball. And that's how Julian Reese is going to make a name for himself in the NBA. And honestly, Abdullah, it's going to be really, really hard to, if he continues at this pace, being a dominant rebounder against guys like Mo Bamba, against guys like Kyle Filipowski, it's going to be hard to not hand him, an actual contract and see what he can do for the rest of the season.
And he's kind of answered the question about front court depth for next season because you obviously signed Tristan Vucevic to a contract recently, Alex Sarr, AD, but with the idea of AD's future here, we still yet to know. And Julian Reese, it's just impressive that he did this in such limited time of preparation and 20 rebounds. I mean, again, it's from a young guy, it's going out there and just proving that you're hungry and you want to be here long term. And I think he can be a key piece here, and definitely left some money on the table because I'm looking at it right now. I think he went. Okay, so no, actually, no, he was very efficient. But what I was trying to get at was Trae Young just being able to allow guys to eat. This is kind of going back to the John Wall days where he would spoon feed Marcin Gortat. He would find Paul Pierce in the corner and just be able to be an elite playmaker. And this is what Wizards fans were anticipating when they traded for him. Just going back to Juju, I think moving forward, this guy is going to take advantage of the minutes that he's going to get and played 38 minutes tonight. Leaky Black at 39, so Julian Reese was second when it comes to minutes played. It's just amazing to see a hometown product show out for his hometown team, and I know he had a lot of family and fans in the crowd. It's just amazing. It's a good story, Tyler.
Oh, such a great story. And Abdullah, I think what you were trying to get at earlier is, yes, he was efficient, but Trae Young gave him a lot of looks around the rim that he was not able to necessarily handle, resulting in a Julian Reese turnover or a Trae Young turnover. I remember 2 instances. Trae was getting double teamed. He split the double team that I believe he fed Juju down low and he got stripped of the ball. I think that was in the first half. Then in the second half, in the third quarter, Trae gave Juju a really nice pocket pass and he was unable to corral that basketball. I want to see Julian Reese. Now, this is going to sound like I'm hating, but I'm not. I want to see him be stronger when the ball is in his hands. Now, as a rebounder, he can go up and get it with the best of them. I mean, his ability to pinpoint the basketball up in the air and grab it with 2 hands and come down with it, or even get a foul called on the nearest defender is very impressive. But I want to see Julian Reese have stronger hands on passes. And if you're going to be playing with Trae Young here over the next couple of weeks, And if you want to, put food on the table and get an actual contract and be an NBA player, not just a G League player or an overseas player, you're going to have to find ways to, when you get the ball in that restricted area, to be strong, to go up, not just finish on the left side, but finish on the right side. And Abdullah, that has always been his kryptonite, finishing on the right side with his right hand. Maybe Washington can work with him down there. We've seen the development that Alex Sarr has had from last year to this year, just how much stronger he is down low. Maybe we'll start to see Julian Reese over these next couple of weeks become more of a threat in the paint scoring-wise, because I really want to see Juju be stronger with the ball in his hands. Because like I said earlier, he's a great passer. He has always been a very, very good passer. And if he gets the ball, at that free throw line or inside the paint, basketball 101, when the ball's in the middle, people are going to collapse on you. With the amount of shooters that you have on this team, and Trae Johnson, Will Riley, Keyshawn George, you're going to have to be able to make those passes, those quick skip passes to the perimeter. Juju has that in the arsenal. He just got to find ways to corral the ball better, go up, be strong, or skip it opposite. But I loved what I saw out of Julian Reese tonight.
And he just has to have those active hands, Tyler. Trae Young's going to find him. There's no doubt. It's just being able to be ready, anticipating the pass, and just taking the easy layup or dunk. And what a perfect opportunity for him to showcase his talents, Tyler, down the stretch. Obviously, these next a little more than 20 games left of the season, and we understand the assignment where you're not going to win too many games, but it's about player development. You, as a guy that went undrafted, have to go out there and prove that you can be a key piece for your hometown team. When we come back, we are going to read your comments and let it all out. I know the Wizards lost today. It's crazy because they lost by 10 points to Utah Jazz, and they also missed 10 free throws, but it is what it is. We'll be back here on Locked On Wizards. Today's episode of Locked On Wizards is also brought to you by TurboTax. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they'll get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations worldwide where you can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go on about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. Welcome back to Locked On Wizards. I'm here with Tyler, host of the Let's Talk About It podcast, where the last segment, Tyler, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Ben and I love to call it Let It All Out as we read a lot of Wizards fans' comments. Mr. Bomb V2, what's going on, man? He says, all the Wiz kids need to be ready to get the feed from Trae Young. Robin Walker 7428 says, I figured the title would involve Trae, but where's the Juju love? Trust me, I wanted to give as much love as I could to the DMV kid. Again, Tyler, how excited about you potentially seeing the growth of Julian Reese in the NBA, not just in the NBA, here in the DMV?
Yeah, like I said earlier, lifelong Maryland fan, I love seeing Maryland players succeed in the NBA, and we haven't really had a whole lot. Jalen Smith has been a solid role player. Bruno Fernando was my favorite player behind Melo Tremble back in the days, and Bruno never really panned out. It's like Julian Reese, undrafted, a player who was at Maryland for 5 years, born and raised in Baltimore, and obviously you know the story about his sister. But if he can pave his own way, that is one hell of a storyline, Abdullah.
Yeah, part of the Crab Five. I know every Terp fan was hyped to see his stat line tonight.
Jacoby Gillespie.
He says, wow, Juju, amazing job. What a great time. Trae just needs some more time, and he'll be just fine. It's just crazy to think about, Tyler, that this was a minute restriction. Yeah. There's going to be a time where Trae's going to be able to play as many minutes as he can. And if you're a Wizards fan, how excited should you be seeing him playing alongside Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, and maybe potential AJ DeBonzo or whoever they get in the lottery?
You should be super excited. I would call you a fake fan if you're not excited, but some of us are also a little bit more delusional than others. But just having a player of Trae's caliber on the court next year when he's playing, those 35-minute games against like the New York Knicks, like those are going to be the games where you're like, all right, the Wizards are slowly turning a corner. But I mean, Trae Young in only 19 minutes, he had a +4, plus minus. That was the best mark on the team. And I know it was a limited sample size, but Plus minus is sometimes a little bit inflated or it's a flawed stat, but he was still a positive player when on the court. That's the most important thing. You kind of saw there was a play when Trae was dribbling up in transition. I think it was like a behind the back wraparound pass to Trae Johnson or through the legs pass going backwards to Trae Johnson. Trae got it, shot it from 31 feet away, and he swished it. Like, that's how this team is going to play. They're going to get up and down. They're going to have pace. And, Brian Keefe loves to play with pace. He has done that in his whole tenure here in Baltimore, or not Baltimore, Washington, excuse me. Talk about the Orioles all the time on my other podcast. I'm used to saying Baltimore, Washington, but it's a really nice breath of fresh air because Scott Brooks, you'd play a little bit slower. Wes Unseld Jr., you'd have a very, very slow brand of basketball. To kind of see Trae Young buy into what Washington is doing offensively already in his first game, it's so encouraging to see, and it's only going to get better from here, especially with Keyshawn, Sarr, all those guys not playing. Not even to mention Justin Champagnie didn't even play today, which is crazy. And Anthony Gill getting 30 minutes and Champagnie and Watkins getting zilch is asinine to me. But when you see Champagnie play, when Juju Watkins plays, it's like that is when you're really going to start to see this team's identity offensively. And today was just the first step in doing that, Abdullah.
You try to figure out, Tyler, why JC didn't play. It was probably because he impacts winning basketball.
Exactly.
And this was just a game where it was a tank bowl, and the Jazz, I think their draft pick could fall to the Thunder if it's not top 8. So they're kind of the situation that the Wizards are in with the New York Knicks. So this whole tankathon thing, Tyler, I've been telling Wizards fans after this year, I'm so happy that we're going to be out of that conversation looking at tankathon.com for at least 5 years. I'm tired of it, man.
Fingers crossed, man. Who knows? But I saw a comment here about Will Riley. And if you don't mind, I want to touch on Will a little bit. He did not get a lot of playing time today. 25 minutes, but came off the bench. Leaky Black played 14 more minutes than him. And Will O'Reilly, he went 4 for 10, 2 for 6 from 3. Leaky Black went 5 for 12, 4 for 9 from 3. Those two players and kind of what they provide, they're similar, but Will Riley is obviously more technically and sound and way more advanced than Leaky Black. I was talking to Ben earlier during the game about Leaky Black and how he just is not a strong defender. Will Riley, you kind of saw him getting picked on a little bit in the fourth quarter, but Will Riley's part of your future. He's going to be part of your future. I personally would rank him as the 4th best player in this young core right now behind Sarr, Trae, and Keyshawn. I think Will Riley is that good. To have a guy in Leaky Black play 14 more minutes than him tonight is very, very questionable. Now, Leaky Black, he was putting the ball in the basket. Salute to you. He hit 4 3-pointers, but there's no reason that Will Riley should be playing less than a guy like that. And you saw how hot Will Riley can get in a second. He should have had 10 straight points. He opened up the game knocking down back-to-back threes, then got fouled in the corner on a 3-pointer, but it ended up getting overturned because he kicked his leg out. But it's like no other player on the Wizards besides Trae Johnson and maybe Keyshawn George can get hot that quickly from deep. And you got to expand Will's minutes more. Now, maybe the reason they didn't do that is because Brian Keefe in the front office already knows the type of player that Will Riley is, and they know, all right, this is our guy going forward, and they want to give an undrafted guy, Leaky Black, a chance to, showcase his skills, in which he did tonight, so credit to Leaky Black for doing that. But if you're concerned about Will Riley not playing in this game, don't be, because like I just said, I think he's the 4th best player in this score. You guys can come after me if you want, but I think he's better than Bub. I think he's better than a guy like Cam Whitmore or Juju Watkins, but they already know what they have
Juju
in Will
Reese.
Riley. Hey, not after tonight. Who knows? Maybe
you said Juju Watkins, Tyler.
Yeah, well, Juju Watkins. Well, I guess he's not technically in the young core.
But, you meant Jameer Watkins. Sorry,
Jameer Watkins. Oh,
dude, I thought you were talking about the USC player.
I think I've been saying Juju Watkins all episode because we've been talking about Julian Reese so much. But my point is that Will Riley, they already know what they have in him. So don't panic if, he's only playing 22 minutes a night going forward. I don't think he will. But if he does, don't panic, because he is a top player in this Washington core, and he will be one of the first players off Washington's bench next season and for the foreseeable future.
He's 6'10", Tyler, and he just turned 20 years old.
Growing.
He's definitely going to fill out his frame. He's definitely going to put on some muscle. Before we get on out of here, Tyler, let me know, this draft class coming up, we all know it's very loaded by now. Who is your number one guy? Are you still a big fan of DP, or are you more AJ? I love me with some wings when it comes to chicken and basketball, and DeBon's is just a star written all over him.
Yeah, AJ has that motor, man, that you can't really teach. There's some players that have that dog in them. Trae Johnson, he has that dog in him, always in the gym after hours, and that's a player that I want. I love AJ. Trust me, I do. Darren Peterson, phenomenal talent. Don't know what his deal is. I don't want a guy like that personally. My guy since day one has been Cameron Boozer.
Ooh.
I love what Boozer does. He's so strong down low. He would be a perfect pair alongside, the front court of Sarr, Davis, and Boozer. And you started to see all these really, really good contending teams. The Thunder, the Cavs last year, they all have a very, very sound rotational front court. And yeah, I know maybe Boozer won't come in and start right away, but I love what Boozer provides over the past 10 games in Big Ten play. He has been in ACC play, he has been averaging like 22 points, 11 rebounds on like 55, 38, 82 splits. Like, I'm not making that up. It's something very similar to that. He is so efficient. Boozer is just so strong. He can do it all. He can handle. His jump shot is evolving. He's developing. He's a fantastic passer too. That does not get talked about nearly as much as it should. The power forward position, you got to be able to pass now. And Anthony Davis, he'll probably play before. He's a good passer, but he's not a great passer. Boozer is a guy that can average in his prime 25, 12, and 6. And that's an all-NBA first-team guy. And I think that right now, Boozer, he fits in like a glove with this team. And guess what? No off-the-court issues either. You haven't heard one peep about Boozer being a bad morale guy or sitting out games. All you've heard is that he does great things. His dad, obviously, being Carlos Boozer, he is so well respected. That's the guy that I want to lead my team to the 2030 NBA Finals, Abdullah.
2030. I love you, Tyler. I said pick A or B, and you say C. That's what I'm talking about.
Always got to say C, man. Always
Tyler, before
C.
we head on out here, let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, man. Name is Tyler Barberis. I'm a senior at the University of Tennessee. I've known Ben Strober and Abdullah Ayubi for quite some time now. Lifelong Wizards fan. You guys can check me out on Twitter at Tyler Barberis _. It's the barber that cuts your hair, then IS at the end with an underscore. I'm also the host and creator of Let's Talk About It podcast. Let's Talk About It is a MLB centered podcast where we cover all types of news, rumors, drama, and all that good stuff. And then if you guys are Orioles fans, I know we got a lot of Nats fans in here, Abdullah, but if you are a Baltimore Orioles fan, got a podcast there too. It is the fastest growing Orioles podcast out. It's called Orioles Theory. You guys can find us at Orioles Theory on Instagram and TikTok, and then at O's Theory on Twitter. And then also got an NFL page called Break the Huddle that we're also growing as well. I do a lot of things, but trying to just get that degree first, Abdullah, as I'm sure you know. But once again, thank you for having me on, man. Of
course. I see the Baltimore Ravens, so I have to ask, Tyler, is there any possibility that you see Isaiah Likely coming to the Commanders?
There's such a possibility of that happening. I hate talking about it. I've been rejecting that question for so long now. But Isaiah Likely fits in like a glove with that offense, man. I mean, Zach Ertz, he's a great possession catcher. He has very surefire hands, but so does Isaiah Likely. And that's a guy that you can put outside. You can put him inside. You can put him in the slot. You can put him on the line of scrimmage as a blocker. You can pull him. He can do so many things. And if a team is going to get him for $8 million, that's going to be a steal. Because at the end of that contract, he'll be worth $15 to $20 million. Isaiah Likely is such a good guy. That would be a fantastic addition by the Commies.
Yes, sir. 74 people in here. Make sure to check out Tyler's stuff. Make sure to check me out on Instagram at DMV Sports Zone. And we thank you for tuning into Locked On Wizards. Make sure you stick out tomorrow for tomorrow's episode. Ben and I will regroup and talk about Trae Young's debut again. Make sure you subscribe on Locked On Wizards on all platforms: Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you never miss an episode, the Everyday Club is built for you. Get Locked On Wizards ad-free plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonwizards.simplecast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you the first ever 24/7 national TV YouTube channel and audio. Make sure you make your second listen NBA Game Night on Locked On NBA. Well, folks, Trae Young's debut as a Wizard is officially in the books. What a night it was in Capital One Arena. I'm Abdullah Ayubi. That's Tyler. Make sure to check out his stuff. We are out of here. Peace.